his MOS was not only a paratrooper, but he was a pigeoneer. So, sir, would you talk about that a little bit and then sing?
I don't want to,
Please.
I'll get through all day, but I want to tell you, I want to do this with General Sykes, who's not here. And he was my battalion commander in World War II. I met him on my fourth day, or actually my third day in the Army. I came in the Army in New York City. We were sworn in. I was out in the country, way out in the country, but we were sworn in, and our last physical before we were saying, you're 1A and you can go to war. And they stamped that on there, general duty. General duty meant PFC duty, private duty. But anyway, we went off to war. But I went to Camp Upton out on Long Island, Yaphank, Long Island, where Irving Berlin wrote all those songs for World War I, like, oh, someday I want to murder the bugler, or whatever. Anyway, that was a famous camp in World War II. There was also an induction center in World War II. And I went out there, right from New York City on a train, got out in the middle of the night, and on the next day we were going to be classified what branch you were going to go, engineer, infantry, artillery, whatever. And I looked at a wall, there's a great big picture of a paratrooper, nice shiny boots, wings, hat patch, all that. Looked very glamorous, and I said, I want to do that. And that was the end of the interview. They stamped it airborne, and that was it. Go back to your barracks. Next morning, you got on the train. Everybody moved by train in those days. With that, somebody talked about the latrines and the train. That was true. That was very, very true. But we went down there, and the next day we ended up in Camp Toccoa, Georgia, the town of Toccoa, Georgia. Anybody ever been there? Very famous place for the airborne, because some of the best regiments, parachute regiments in World War II were trained there. Little camp, only could handle a battalion at a time. Big mountain called Corridor, which we ran every day. Everybody in the unit ran it, the colonel and the sergeants, and one man less stayed back in the orderly room, answered the telephone. Everybody else ran, officers ran, everyone. And no one could fall out. An ambulance followed us if you fainted. If you could be held up by two men, one on either side, you made the run even though you didn't know you did it. But anyway, that's how we trained. But we also had to go to a big old tar paper building called a theater, and the post theater, and we would have a rally with our colonel, and we'd sing airborne songs, and we'd be given a chance to quit if we wanted to quit. If you quit, you had to go back to the room, go outside, report to the sergeant major, and they would go back to your barracks, take all your things out of the barracks, you had to sleep in a pub tent between the barracks until they shipped you out. And the rest of you stayed together. So it was rather, it was brutal in a way, but it was also very, very interesting. And so you hated to go out there to that sergeant major and tell him you wanted to quit. Nobody really wanted to walk out there and say that to him. You wanted to stay there and go through the training. And the training was good. No one was abused. It wasn't like the movie you saw, the mini-series about Band of Brothers. It was not like that. No one ever abused me verbally. No sergeant, no officer. Everyone did the same thing together. We were a Band of Brothers. But we sang a song all the time, and we sing airborne songs. And General Sykes would always lead them. He was a 25-year-old major then, commanding a battalion of 19-year-old, 18-year-old boys like me. I was 18 and most of us were. But at any rate, we sang a song, and it was called, and I will repeat the words. I'm not going to try to sing it. My wife would kill me if you heard that I did this. But it used to be the infantry did nothing but walk all day, and dusty guys with mud in their eyes went slogging along the way. But times have changed, and now we range the skies in a sea of blue. We fly a bit, and then we hit the silk of a parachute. Oh, airborne, we fly the sky, paratroopers, do or die. Speed troops like the wind we go, with sons of guns, with tons of guns, and we won't take no for an answer. That was just one of the songs. The other was, Blood Upon the Horizon, which I'm not going to attempt to do. But that was only one of our famous airborne songs. But that's what we did there, and every week we had that get-together. I'll tell you one more story about General Sykes, and then Major Sykes. The day we got there, we had to jump out of a 34-foot tower. No other training, just jump out of a 30-foot tower, report to the major. The major said, you like that? And we said, well, I guess so, sir. And then he said, okay, you're in. But he interviewed every one of us before he accepted us to be in his battalion. So he had a couple of thousand people to go through there to pick the 750 or so that was in the 2nd Battalion of the 517 Parachute Infantry. Just prior to that, the 506 had gone through. And that was the Band of Brothers that you saw in the mini-series. But at any rate, we were given Corcoran jump boots, which are the pride of the airborne. No one else in the Army could wear those jump boots at that time, but the paratroopers. even the poor glider guys, which was far more dangerous than the parachute, they had to wear what we call glider boots, and they were leggings. In the 17th Airborne Division, somebody's here, and we were in the 17th at first. I think you glider guys, if you were glidermen, you remember those leggings. And that's true, isn't it? That's right.
There was nothing more impressive, and I'll tell you this, to see an airborne company, a company of paratroopers in full battle uniform, marching down the road, singing, and we always sang.
You sang. Right, absolutely true. Thank you. At any rate, we were given those boots, but we couldn't blouse them. If you know what that means, we couldn't blouse them so you could show them off when you were walking around. So all our basic training together, our advanced infantry training together, we wore our fatigues, but we had those the team trousers covering those beautiful boots. We had to shine them every day, and I mean really shine them and work on them to make them really glisten. And we did that very faithfully under the careful eye of some very, very fine soldiers, officers and CEOs. But at any rate, the last day we were there, the next day we were going to get into training and go to Fort Benning and go to jump school as to become real paratroopers. And that evening, General Zace, it was on Friday, and he always gave all the commands in that outfit. He led everyone up that hill of that Mount Courage. And that became the motto of the 506. You may remember that from the miniseries. Courage was shouted all the time. That was like, everyone all the way. But at any rate, that last day we were all out in formation for the retreat formation. And he was standing up in this little high piece of ground he would always use when he spoke to the battalion. And he did that an awful lot. But he said, one thing we're going to do before we actually start this ceremony this evening, I want you all to bend down now and blouse your boots. And he made that battalion a real battalion, just by those few words, blouse those boots. And boy, we finally could blouse those boots like our officers. Our officers at NCOs had been a part of the 506. They were the cadre that went to the 517. But they all wore those boots all the time around us. And well, we envied every one of them, those shiny boots. And we couldn't wait till the time we got our wings and we got to go home and show those boots off and those wings and that halftime, especially in Long Island, because nobody ever saw a paratrooper out there. And at any rate, that made the battalion. We went down to Fort Benning and we went through jump school and we never lost a man. And for the next 2.5 years, we were together every day, until the war ended. And those few words about blousing your boots, blouse your boots, 3 words made that battalion a real band of brothers. Okay? I want to share that with you. It's important that General Zace, because we used to have an airborne club at Fort Bragg, and all the old airborne guys would assemble there every year. You had to go through jump school before, I think, 55 to be a member of this, or 45 to be a member of this club. They're all gone now. There's only 1 or 2 left. You're looking at one of them right now, I think it was in that club. At any rate, we don't meet anymore. But we used to always sing that song, and General Zace loved that song. And so I wanted to do that in memory of Lieutenant General Zace and Fort Valley and the 1st Division. And he loved that time. He loved that.